Hey, how's it going? Jason here. And in this video, we're going to be talking about this maple that I repotted about 2 months ago. The growth on it is starting to get out of hand, so we got to go in there and do some cuts to make it look good again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some shears, and for this, this growth has actually been growing for the last 2 months. You guys saw in the video where we repotted it. Basically, it had no growth at that time. Some of the buds were starting to emerge, but it did not look like this. So now you can see that we've got branches growing everywhere. And that's kind of the thing about maples, is they come out really strong, they come out really aggressive, and they come out really fast when spring hits. So now we've got to go in there with a shear, like this one I have right here. It's kind of a bigger bonsai shear. And this one will make it a little bit easier to grab a couple branches at once and make quick cuts, like that. We're not going to be worrying too much about ramification. We're really just going to be trimming this back so that light can penetrate back into these branches that we want, which are the ones inside right here. Basically the branches that we spent all that time ramifying are underneath right now, and all this foliage out here is just covering it. And if we continue to let it grow, then basically all this inside is not going to get any light, and that's not going to do too good in there. So we got to go in here and just trim out some of this. So for this process, don't think too much about it. It's really, we're just trying to prune it back. So with these bigger shears, I can grab a whole bunch at a time and just kind of cut them back. Now we're just trying to get rid of growth, so we can start to get back into the structure of the tree and compact it down. And that's what these shears are good for, is that you can grab multiple of these branches, say like right here, grab multiple of these at a time and just give it a cut. That's how these are all coming out. Just be careful with your fingers. You don't want to cut your fingers. So what we're doing is basically trying to find the shape, and it's in here. If I'm looking at the front right here, it was just right in this section right here, just right in there. This is the section we're looking at. As you can see, all these branches are just all over the place, and it's just too much. Underneath it all, you can kind of visually see in here that your ramification is still underneath there, but there's just so many leaves in the way, you just can't see anything. So what we want to do is just eliminate, so that we can start to narrow down back to the pad that's down there. And really, if you don't be scared about cutting too much, because the maples during this season are just growing so fast that you'll be doing this again. Okay, what I'm doing, the ones I'm paying attention to are basically the ones that are coming out too far on the pad layer, and the ones that are going up. I don't want that. I still want my pad to be visible right here, so I'm making sure that the ones that are going straight up, I'm cutting off. Bring the tree up right here. You guys can see that this section here is pruned back a lot more. Now I might still go in there later and do some more, but right now I'm just trying to compact this down everywhere just to make it look a little bit better. Now, one thing that I'm keeping in mind while doing this is my triangles. I'm always looking at that. I can tell from here I've already got one here on the pad layer, and now I've got one on the overall side of the tree like this. Now when I'm talking about overall of this tree like this, when I rotate this tree, you guys will see that there's kind of a big mound, this big ball right now. I'm going to kind of find my line, my triangle there, and I'm just going to trim around it. Like for instance, these ones right here are going outside of that triangle, so I'm going to cut them off. And I'm just going to work myself around the tree, find my triangles on every angle of it, and then just cut it back. So I finished cutting this. You can see that the shape is much better now, and really all I did was trim it back, follow those triangles, and cut it back, and back to the pads that I actually spent all that time developing over the last couple years. I noticed here, this is sticking out a little bit. You'll notice I didn't cut that back, and that's because I realized that if I bring these down just a little bit with guy wire, It'll help to fill in this crown a little bit. So I'm gonna do that really quick. All right, so I think that looks a lot better. You guys remember that before, basically all these leaves were just growing out wider than they needed to be. And all I did was go in there with this shear, this one right here, and just cut it back to my triangles. And back to the pads, identify the pads a little bit more, here, and also just kind of created it full over here, just so it looks like a nice natural tree. I think this guy's a little bit long, so he's gone. Okay, I had to cut that one really quick. I could see it in the frame that it didn't look that good. But now you guys can see that this tree is trimmed back. You know, maybe I'll end up going with a bigger pot later. You know, I cut this back and put it in this one, but now that I'm looking at it, maybe I go a little bit wider. But if I'm going to be sort of up potting it in a way, if I'm going to be up potting it, or going to a bigger size, that's going to be way easier to do than what I did initially, which was reduce all the roots and put it in this pot. So I might end up going a little bit bigger after looking at this tree with all the foliage on it. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. You can kind of see, hopefully that gives you an idea of the progression of, you know, a tree that's in a can, and then the roots are reduced, put into a pot, and then, you know, spring comes around, all the foliage comes out too wide, and then a little bit of pruning just to make it, you know, to put it back into a nice shape like it is right now. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. You know, I'll keep on doing a follow-up on this one, but I think this one, really the only thing that's going to happen after this is putting into another pot. Maybe I'll show you defoliation on this one later. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.